Network is Kriss and Phenom here. Today we got a special little review here. We did not get a screener for this. I'm not even sure. It's not even opened wide across nationwide, is it?
They claim it's on wide release, but it's clearly not on wide release.
Right, because Leslie just told me that it doesn't open up in where they're at until December next
It's
month.
not in Baltimore either. Like I had
Right.
to go see it
At
in
Springfield, right?
spring.
Yeah, Silver Spring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same here. Like it's not in what I don't know what they're saying. We're here to review Moonlight, a timeless story of human connection and self-discovery. Moonlight chronicles the life of a young black man from childhood to adulthood as he struggles to find his place in the world while growing up in a rough neighborhood of Miami. Yeah, man. Probably a lot to talk about here, man. What'd you think of it?
I mean, overall it is the best shot film I've seen this year. Like as far as director and cinematography, you get all these CGI films and you get all of these just big budget films, but really this film, whoever was behind the camera, whoever was in doing the production, whoever decided what colors to use, what complexion for the cast members to use, like just tone in general and certain tips and tricks just with the cameraman was like crazy. There are scenes in this film that I still don't know how they shot them. And then there are scenes in this film where people are going to be like, well, why would they cast this person to play this person in a different, like 10 years later and 10 years later? And it's clearly because they wanted a certain complexion of person to
Mm-hmm.
represent in scenes where they were focused more on the color in the background or the color of the night or the color of the beach. Like this movie is ridiculous. It's insanely good
Yeah,
as far as a cinematic masterpiece should go.
I just looked up. It's James Laxton with the cinematographer for this movie, and yeah, the I and this is something that I've been noticing a lot. I mean, you get this in. I haven't watched it, but I've seen video of it. I've seen trailers from it, like Queen Sugar. Like the way you're seeing some cinematographers shoot black people is it's amazing because it's getting you this. It's really capturing the richness of just black skin, and that sounds so weird to say, but it matters. Like, and you don't know, like, you haven't really realized you haven't really gotten that until we started getting it I would say the last couple years, man. And it's just there's yeah, it's just amazing how you say how some of these scenes are shot. Because I'll say this, I think this is a film that honestly doesn't have a lot of dialogue. Like you follow the main character. What was the main character's name? Sharon. You follow this character from basically elementary school. You get 3 acts. You get elementary school, him around high school age, probably near tail end of high school, and then when he's an adult. And it's different characters, but that character, because the character is shy, he doesn't speak a lot. Like this is one of the films where the main character doesn't say a lot at all in any of those 3 acts. I think probably when he's an adult, you get the most words out from him, but it still says so much. Like there's not like I can't think of a lot of like real heavy dialogue moments, but they let the camera do most of the talking, and yeah, it's amazing.
For me it's one of those films where they don't tell you what's going on with the main character.
Oh,
They don't
absolutely not.
really let you inside of his head.
No.
And that's on purpose. They're trying to get you to kind of feel what he's feeling in these different scenes from the outside instead of treating the viewer like they can't pick that up visually and just
Mm-hmm.
have somebody narrate or have him actually explain what he's feeling. They do it with the soundtrack, they do it with the tone, they do it with colors, and they do it with facial expressions and representation and just visual scenery. Period.
Absolutely. I
It's
mean,
insane. Like he doesn't talk a lot. A lot of people ask him questions, and he's very basic. And there are scenes in this movie that are probably like 10 lines
mm-hmm.
for the whole scene, and it's so much depth within those 10 lines
It's a
just
full
from
conversation.
the conversation that's being had.
Yeah.
And you, as the audience, are watching it. You're like, oh man, I wonder like how this person is gonna answer this question, or I wonder how this kid is gonna react to whatever the response is going to be. And then they have these scenes where he's just chilling, and it's just this, like, you don't really know, how what he's feeling or what other people around him are feeling, and they're way more into expressing than he is. Even when he gets older, he's a bit more open when he's older, but he's playing a role in every act of this film, and they are literally named by what he goes by at those periods in his life. So I think the first act was Little, and that's because everybody calls him Little, and then the second act he's Chiron because, pretty much, and then when he gets older, he goes by Black because that's the person that he's decided to become. And in all of those acts, he is a confused individual as far as to who he is supposed to be. He doesn't know what the answer is, and I think a lot of that is reflected by the music, and as you pointed out, his interaction by not talking and not sharing and being shy with so many people. And it really does build this story that's completely based with imagery almost. Like, you might as well go by the tone of the music, how this boy is feeling right now. Go by the tone of the background. That's how he's feeling.
There's towards the end of the film when he goes back to he shares to the diner to talk to Kevin, right? He's in the car and Classic Man is playing, and I was like, it's things like that just make you go, it says so much without saying anything.
So let's talk about this real quick, because I had them send me the soundtrack, and I listened to the soundtrack before I saw the film. I had it playing in the car. So the soundtrack is mostly score music. The guy who did the soundtrack's name was Nicholas Bertel, and he's actually a renowned composer, it seems. And Barry Jenkins reached out, and he decided to do this soundtrack. Now, the film opens up the same way the soundtrack opens up, with "Every Nigga Is a Star" by Boris Gardner, and from there it's mostly themes, and it's themes that are relative to the act. So Little's theme, the ride home, will be the ride home with him in the car with Ali. And most of it sounds like orchestral composed, very emotionally driven score music. It seems legit. You're used to hearing music like this when you're watching a film like this. And every once in a while, he'll throw an era relative song. He has Cell Therapy by Goody Mob. He has Classic Man, which is actually not on the soundtrack, and there's a reason for that. Classic Man is not on the soundtrack because in the film, it's chopped and screwed. There's a reason for that. The reason it's chopped and screwed is because when Nicholas was talking to Barry Jenkins was like, he asked him, like, what is the type of music? What are you kind of into? Yada, yada, yada. And Barry Jenkins was like, well, one of my favorite flavors of hip hop is chopped and screwed. And Nicholas goes, okay, well, interesting. I'm going to check that out. And what he ended up doing was he took scores, and he scored the film as you would. And then he chopped and screwed the score music. So that's why Classic Man that is not a legit version of Classic Man. Like, you cannot go to YouTube and find that. He chopped and screwed that himself, and he couldn't get it licensed to put it onto the soundtrack. But like, Cell Therapy isn't chopped and screwed. But if you pay attention, Little Chiron Black has a particular theme, and it's called Chiron's theme. He chops and screws these tracks depending on the mood of the film, and as Chiron gets older, he chops and screws. So it's like you're listening to what sounds like classical music, but that shit might as well be from Houston or something, because it legit is having a classically trained scorer chopping and screwing violins and shit. The soundtrack is amazing. Like, it's ridiculously good once you know that little fact about it. Now I'm like, yo, I got to go back and check this out. And the music really does matter, because a lot of the music is sad and solemn and somber.
Well, when you have a film that doesn't have a lot,
it builds character, right, in a bunch of different characters, not just the main character.
Yeah, well, when you have a film that doesn't have a lot of dialogue, that makes the imagery and the sound. Like I said, movies don't always have to be, they used to do silent movies. So it's like, you don't have to have dialogue in a movie to make it good. And we as human beings communicate in so many different ways. You don't need words to show communication. And so a lot of times there's these moments where you're getting a full range of emotion and you're feeling a certain way. Like there's a while for a while there, they use this image, I think, when they go from act 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. And it's the image of his mom, Chiron's mom, screaming at him.
In the hallway.
Right. But you never, it's not until the very end that you hear what she, I think in the third act, where you actually hear, they actually put the words to what she's saying. Before then, you just see the image of her screaming at him.
And it's the way they shot that scene too. Like they shot it normally, and then the way they went back and played it in the film, they played it in slow motion.
Exactly.
They played it forward, and then they played it in reverse, which added a whole different feeling to it. Like that was Naomi Harris, and it took me 40 minutes to figure out that was Naomi Harris.
Because they do a good job with her in that they age her throughout the film.
She looks so fucking bad as a fiend. Like she looks so bad. I looked at her and I was like, I feel like this black woman is supposed to be like really attractive, but I'm just not catching it. Like she looks better than most fiends, but I feel like she's prettier than this. 40 minutes into the film, I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking Naomi Harris.
Well, and that's the great thing. Like, you don't know, because again, they don't explain things until later on. When you first meet her, you just think, oh, she's just a hardworking single mom who's raising this kid, and she's got a lot going on. And then you see what goes on. She becomes a very unsympathetic character here.
Yo.
Then you throw in Ali's character, Mahershala Ali, his character. Oh my God, like he's a drug dealer.
He's a complicated character, too.
But he's such a complicated character because there's a moment when you realize he's a drug dealer who has sold drugs to Chiron's mom, but he's also now him and his girlfriend have taken Teresa have taken Chiron in. Like it becomes a very complicated thing.
It's some karma shit. It's
right.
You think you can do things, and as long as you aren't around the people that you're affecting, it's no big deal. But once you realize that you've actually corrupted a child's life by your end means hustle, and you actually have a heart, yeah, it's kind of hard. And by the way, Janelle Monáe is his girl, and good God,
yeah,
she can act too. Like, I was like, can she really act? But you wonder, can she act? But not really, because when you listen to the music she does, you see what she does with Wonderland, her whole style in general.
Yeah,
it's like,
oh no, she actually
acting is just, and I think she started off trying to be an actress before she tried to be a singer. That makes sense if that's true. And I think she did a really good job for a kind of small part. She plays the only solid figure in his life.
Right. And what I like is, especially with Ali's character, when is Juan, they use it for a certain point, and then you get to this moment where you get this revelation, and then you never see him again. But you want to see more of that relationship develop, but by them taking it away, it actually adds more to it.
It's like the same thing the character must feel, which actually plays on Chiron in the third act. Because at a certain point, it was kind of like the question constantly is, who do you want to be? And it's really not to the end of the film that he realizes he can be whoever he wants to be, but in the end, he really is supposed to be who he is, and he doesn't figure that out until after dealing with all of these other people. But that fucking second act, that shit was rough. Like, I didn't understand. They leave so many things open-ended. As far as the thing that people are going to be pondering while watching this act is the sexuality of the characters. Because there are at least 3 people in that act that you're like, are they homosexual males? Right. And 2 of them we find out, but one of them I'm still kind of like, well, I think that's is he sexually frustrated? Like, what is going on with this dude? Well, you just don't know. Like, when they kind of shoot it from the perspective of somebody dealing in that situation, you'll never probably know why the hell that motherfucker was fucking with you to begin with. Yeah, and you just get older,
right? And I think one of the things to me that what really stands out in the film is its approach to sexuality and how, especially black male sexuality, you dealing with this. Like at one point, the young kid, who was the young kid that played who played Chiron first?
You mean his actual name?
Yeah, the little kid.
I'm not sure.
No, it wasn't Ashton, because that was when he played him in high school. I don't know who played like 9-year-old Chiron. gotta find that out.
Had the names at one point because I was reading an article.
Yeah. Oh, actually, they have him as Little. It's just I think they just named him Little. Alex Hibbert. So that's what they
Hibbert.
did. They named him in the they in the IMDb they gave him the names as the acts. So yeah, like when he's young at one point, he asked Juan, it's like, what is a faggot? And like you can see Juan being torn as is like telling him his character, because I think like Juan kind of realizes that this kid why he gets picked on. That it seems like everybody kind of thinks that this kid is gay, and Juan basically tells him, it's like, listen, man. The little asks him, it's like, well, how will I know? And he's like, man, listen, you don't need to worry about that right now. You'll know, but you don't have to decide right now. And it's like a real conversation that you actually are not expecting to get from this drug dealer. You're not expecting to, like, so many things happen where you're like, I wasn't expecting to go that way. Wasn't expecting that to happen. But it's a very interesting and needed look at, what it's like for a young black kid to grow up in this environment and not really, the thing about he's confused. He has no idea, what to do about his sexuality and his feelings. Like there's a moment in there when, I guess, it was young Kevin when they wrestle, and that was a very like interesting moment. I'm like, is that another moment where he's feeling confused about himself at this point?
The way I look at it is the same moment that I probably experienced when you would play fight in college or something with a girl that you were interested in, or high school with a girl you were interested in, and you know y'all play fighting, but for you it's like, yo, she letting me touch her,
right?
I get to be around her,
right?
I wonder, like, you wonder things like that, and it's hard to watch this film because you realize, I wonder how many friends I had that have grown up like this, that have men and women that have gone through. And it seems to be that black women who are gay, or queer black women, there's more room, right, for them to be open about it.
Right.
At a younger age, the term being, they'll just call you a tomboy. People still do that, which is ridiculous. They'll use those terms, but as far as a young male, like there's just all these stigmas, and you gotta raise him to be a man, and you can't be no punk, and you gotta like girls, and dudes trying to teach you how to pull girls at a young age, or you're a little cutie, the little cuties, little honey's gonna be going after you, man, and all of that talk. But there is no space, where a young queer black male can go to learn about the birds and the bees, or the birds and the birds, or the bees and the bees, however you want to, put it. And I think this film really captured that. Nobody can tell him what he needs to know. Nobody can help him because none of them are homosexual. It's homosexual black men. It's hard enough being a young black man out here that's heterosexual, and trying to learn about girls and learn about consent and learn about life and go through puberty and all of that. And you're shy already. He has nobody to talk to.
Well, I think that's the other interesting thing too. So it's like, yeah, obviously, you don't want to understate the importance of this being about a young black gay man growing up in this environment, growing up here. But like the message that's going on in the story, they could have easily replaced the love. They could have easily replaced it with a woman. Like, and it could have easily have been just about growing up and understanding how, like. Because the end of one of the things they did with this film, and I think it was a very important decision, and I think it's again I'm not gay, so I don't know how anybody from that community would feel about this. But sometimes I feel like when they make films that deal with homosexuality, they almost go overboard in trying to show sex and show. See, it's gay. They're gay, and you get it. This film does it so subtly. Not saying there's no sex in it, but it's not the focus. The focus is more on the feelings, the battle, the dealing with feeling different, the feelings of not understanding how to deal with your feelings. It's on that where you're never really mistaken that the character is gay. But I mean, there's one point in the film where you realize He's just like, he just wanted to be touched. He just wanted a hug. He just wanted to feel that affection. And that's something that, you know, if you're a man, whether you're gay or straight, that's something that we are just not allowed to do, right? We're not allowed to, like, there's that moment when him and Kevin are on the beach and he's talking to him and they're talking about crying, and Kevin immediately goes with man, I've been wanting to cry, but I don't cry, right? Because it's like, I'm a man. And Sharon just goes, yeah, man, I cry. Man, I cry a lot. You know, and that's a real moment, right? That's a vulnerable moment because guys are not supposed to say that, right? You suck it up. You don't.
At home, though. Like,
right? That's what I'm saying. It's
if the stigma with men at least stops with your sisters and your moms to an extent. You know, you can get a hug from your mother.
Sometimes
it's like, yo, right. Well, I mean, for the most part,
right.
For most guys, you can be a mama's boy and that's okay. And instead of like, yo, I love my moms, and you know, that's my mom's, and that's cool. He doesn't even get that, because the only time that she shows him any affection or attention is when she wants something from him. Mm-hmm. You know, and they have a really, really difficult scene in the third act.
Oh, dude, that's where that shit gets real.
That shit was raw. It was a very deep and raw scene, and like that was the only point in the film where I felt empathy for Naomi's character.
Oh yeah,
and it felt genuine. You know what I'm saying? But look how long it took. At that point, the character was in his early 30s. It took that long. That might as well have been forever. In his mind, because he wasn't experiencing that, and you know, it just there's a story here, but I think what's gonna bother some people is there's not a complete story here. There is a glimpse, and I think that's actually more interesting because it kind of makes you add your own experiences to fill in the blanks of this tale.
Absolutely.
Or it makes you want to ask more questions, or it makes you want to do more research. But I think what's most important about this film is it opens up the Black conversation about homosexuality within our communities, and how we really need to go about treating this, and the conversations that we need to be able to have with children. I get sick when I hear dudes are telling their son, man, you know, don't put him in no dress. Don't do this. Don't do that. I hate when I hear shit like that. Cause you already built like that. I think I was Rod who posted the shit about the football player telling his son.
Oh, I hate that shit, yo.
Yeah. He can't come home. That is not nurturing. Okay. I don't know what that is. That is male ego. That shit is killing our youth, man. It makes kids apathetic about shit. It's not good. Or apathetic. It's just not good. To build children within that type of culture, with that mindset of not being able to deal with their frustrations and life in general, shit is not going to be all sunny for you. And this film it really makes you take a hard look at how have you been treating people who you didn't understand? And do you really know what the fuck they go through? Instead of just being the first person to make some judgment. I pray more Black people go see this film, especially I hope Christian Black folk go see this film.
All the dudes that were, Medea movie beats Birth of a Nation. This was wrong. You better go see this.
It didn't have to, but you know, white people supported that film more than Black people were supporting it. So there you go. And white people support films like this more than Black people are supporting these films. That's just the truth. We got to start getting into these. Like, we're actually getting. It was a point where we were like, man, we just got to support Black films because we got to get, you know, they're the only ones holding the doors open for us still. Whether they're good or bad, we got to support them. That is no longer the case. The last 3 or 4 years, Black cinema has been top notch. Films released that year.
Dude, I just saw, for when I went to see this, I got the trailers for Fences and then Hidden Figures, and listen.
Fences looks amazing.
Look, man, I've been seeing all. Apparently, the screeners have already started coming out. I've been seeing people saying that Davis and Washington got to be at the top of the nomination list come award season. But I just saw the trailer and was just like, good God, they acting like.
Bro, did you see that snot bubble?
I was just about to say the snot bubble that Viola Davis had. I was just like,
when Viola Davis cries in the film, it has to be nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
It has to be, because she cries with the soul of a million freed slaves. That shit was real. And then you get an asshole Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington that cares about you, but he ain't gonna help your ass up, Denzel Washington. This shit about to be
When he
good.
said, "You my son, but I ain't gotta like you," I put food on your table. I was just like, "Oh no, we gotta." I'm seeing this shit, yo.
We got a hardcore black father out this bitch. But it just doesn't stop there.
Right.
The list of black film, like black television achievements this year, as far as just getting more entertainment for us out there by us, has been great. Or that just included us. You got Queen Sugar, you got Atlanta, you got Survivor's Remorse, you got that on Power, you got Empire, you got Pitch on Fox. You have all these shows created or not created by black people, starring black people, having black stories about black people. You got Blackish. It's just, you got Greenleaf. You just have so many shows. There's no reason right now, and we have some of the best shows on television. Mm-hmm. It's not the corny shit anymore. You know, I like the 90s and I like the sitcom era, but it ain't 20 shows that feel like Moesha no more. It's just not that era. And they don't have to be funny either. Queen Sugar is not funny. Queen Sugar is straight drama.
Yeah.
You know, Power is suspense and drama. Survivor's Remorse is comedy and real black conversations. They had a complexion conversation in one of the episodes between a dark-skinned character and a light-skinned character, two females, talking about how, you know, brown-skinned girls had it hard, and the light-skinned girl talking about how light-skinned girls have it hard. And it was like, listening to that conversation, you didn't know whose side to be on. Mm-hmm. Because they both had points and they both were wrong in some respect. Like, it just, there's a lot of good black television, and this year has been a lot of good black film, but niggas was hunkering down on Birth of a Nation like it was the only thing that was going to free us.
Right.
That shit ain't, when you have a film like Moonlight. Barry Jenkins just out here getting all the acclamation right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering what his next thing is going to be, because I've never seen anything he'd done before. But, like, you know, somebody going to try to give, like, he definitely deserves it, because he also did the screenplay for this. So he directed this and did the screenplay for it. And like I said, man, I definitely understand there are going to be people who see this and who are going to want more. They're going to want a complete story. But I think this not being a complete story, and the way they jump and where they decide to move between the different acts and the different points in this kid's life, I think are very, very important. Even when the film ends, you know, the film ends before you get anything else, and it's like you want more, but you might even get angry when it ends that point, but you're like, but no, it kind of had to end there. It fit with the rest of the movie. Like, you don't need more because it said everything that you needed to say.
But at that point, if you say I need more, you just being nosy.
Right.
That's all you're doing. Mm-hmm. You being nosy. Ooh, did they get together? Did they have sex? Did they do this? Did they do that? You just being nosy. Mm-hmm. You know, it was about a kid being able to, like you said, it was about him just experiencing some type of affection, some genuine affection as a confused, curious, not even curious, just a queer black male. It just, that's what it was about. That was the story. So once you get to the point where he can finally, like, feel the ocean, feel the water, where he can float and he don't feel like he's sinking no more, that was a story.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of, there's a lot here, and I think this is going to be one of those films that people try to unpack a lot with, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and again, like I said, you cannot take away the sexuality of the characters out of this discussion. I think it's very, very important, but at the same time, being a heterosexual man, there are a lot of things this character goes through that I can be like, you know, I feel him on that. I understand that. You know, that especially if you have people that have ever felt like there's no one you can talk to and feel like, you know, you just have nowhere to go, or there are people out there who, you know, aren't close with their parents and have to find, you know, comfort with other people who become like there's a whole thing between, you know, Paula, which is Naomi Harris' character, really basically hating Teresa because anytime, like, there's just one part where she literally, Sharon comes home. She goes, no, what are you doing here? You know I'm having company. You got to go find somewhere else to be. So he does. He goes to the only place he knows to go to. He goes to stay with Teresa. And then when he comes back home, his mom was all angry at him. It's like, well, you know, you could have just stayed out. You could just come back a little bit later. Why'd you go over there? You know, and it's just, she sees Teresa as competition for taking her son away, but at the same time, she ain't doing shit to be a good mother either. No. So it's just there's so much complexity in there, and again, they don't go into it too much. You know, they really don't.
They don't talk about the water a whole lot. No. But like there's the trips to the beach that he takes where what's the name is trying to teach him how to swim. There's the bathtub scene.
I was just about to mention that one. Yeah. Water. Everything's about water.
It's just there's all these scenes with water, and then there's a lot of scenes with the color blue, like the moonlight is blue. It's a lot. The actual character, the actor that plays Black in the third act, Trevante Rhodes, is actually he's in a film. The next film he's supposed to be in is Horse Soldiers with Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, and Michael Pena. I remember I read that in an article a couple days ago. So that was because I remember I saw his name. They were like, actor from so and so. And supposedly he's in Westworld.
Oh, I just saw that. He's in Westworld.
Yeah, I missed that. I don't know which one he is in Westworld. I haven't seen it yet. I'm up on Westworld, so I might have missed it, but I don't remember missing it.
Yeah, and another thing too I like about how they picked, what I liked about how they picked the character, the three black male actors that play these characters in the 3 acts is the first 2 acts. You have these 2 really string beanie, really characters that you like that don't look like they can. If you were to have a stereotype of gay and why, you could even think that maybe they're picking on him because he's skinny, he's quiet to himself, and that's just he can be picked on. When you get to that 3rd act, Black, that's a dude. Like at one point, Kevin sees him, he's like, "Well, I know you ain't struggling to eat. Like this nigga is like." He was on that HGH, but it's like you understand that his appearance there comes from what happened to him in the previous 2 acts. But it also then when you have this character and what he looks like, it challenges what everybody's idea of a gay man would be. And so nobody would ever question that, but then there are certain people who would just know.
Mm-hmm. I think that was another thing I liked that this film did. Yeah. It didn't make him like open gay. It didn't make him outwardly gay. It didn't change his voice inflection.
It didn't make him a stereotype.
It didn't make him quote unquote fabulous gay. It made him, he was typically, what people don't realize is that a lot of gay men are more like him than what you see on television.
Right.
Loud and outspoken. Like, not saying that they're not, but the reason that you see those types of gay men more flamboyant, more open, more comfortable, I guess, with their gayness in public is because they're drawing attention. Like they're in it. They have a lot of energy. Gay guys like him, trying to spot him is the same as trying to spot a heterosexual male that isn't openly showing that he's heterosexual. You don't know, because people are people, right, and everybody is not the same. Most men who are gay are like this guy. They look like regular people. They don't look quote unquote look gay the same way you don't quote unquote look heterosexual. They don't. Right. That's not how they look.
Right.
So, and I'm sure the dude that was working for him didn't know he was gay.
Mm-hmm. No, none of them did. That's the thing. That was the thing. Once he transforms into Black, there's only one from the interactions you get. Because in that very scene that you talk about with his mom, it's a very hard scene. She's talking about, well, you can talk to me about anything. I don't think Teresa probably knew, but after a while, you don't see Teresa anymore.
No, she knew because she made a comment.
Right, exactly.
The dealer about, you see the way he walked, you know what's up.
Well, they even had the conversation. He was there when they had the conversation at the table. So it's like she knew, but his mom didn't really. Well, his mom.
No, my bad. Not Teresa. I met his mom.
Yeah, you're right.
Knew because she made that comment to the drug dealer. That's why you think them boys are always picking on him. You seen the way he walked.
Exactly. So, but even then, it's like, he could. It might be that he's not gay. So even her idea, her calling him gay, even though he was gay, her reasoning for her thinking that was so wrong that he can't talk to her about this, because she called him gay not because she knew that he was gay, but because of some stereotype idea of what being gay would be. And so it was just, there's so much to this film. It's just one of the things, again, you got to go see it. Like I can't say enough about it. I know you said this on Facebook that you still think that Queen of Catway is the better film, and I agree with you on that one. But this is definitely one of the best shot films we've seen this year.
No, the cinematography for this is top notch, and we just saw Doctor Strange this year, which they did amazing things with cinematography with that film, but it just is not shot with the air of sense and with the respect for color and silhouette and just figure placement. And then when you add the soundtrack to those shots, this shit is fucking glorious. Like, it completely encapsulates you. You are torn into this film.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a choice. That shit was amazing. I just think that as far as like casting and storylines, like screenplay went, I think that Queen of Cataway is a more complete story. And I just like the fact that, like this as well, it's all black people.
Yeah.
In this film, in these films, you know.
You're right. I don't think there was a white person.
Maybe there is no white person.
Maybe some of the patrons of that, and maybe not even the patrons. Some of the patrons at that diner at the end, I think they were white. But yeah. And again, there's
I thought there was a bigger black woman or Spanish woman.
It might have been.
I think there was a more.
No, there was a couple of the day. There was a couple that Kevin paid that paid Kevin at the end.
Yeah.
So that was about it. But like, there's so much to speak about, like drugs and being in the neighborhood, and they don't involve. It's just, like I said, just go see this fucking film. What would you give this out of 10, man?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
It's a smooth 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like it
like, I want to give Barry Jenkins room to grow with this next film, so I'm leaving that 0.5. That's the only reason.
Yeah, folks, go find it. I mean, like I said, it's supposed to be open wide, but I don't think it is right now. Like I said, I know some people are saying that it's not until next. I think Leslie said it's not until next month that they can see it. Go find out where, if it's in your area, and I highly recommend you go see it. It is definitely a great, great film to check out. So, anything else you want to say about it, man?
Go see it, man. Like, go see it and take your sons.
Yeah, definitely.
Take the family. There's gonna be some people. It's gonna be like, you, yeah, fuck them, dude. We actually went to see it and had a whole row of gay men behind us, and they were open, so they were definitely adding their own remarks, like to the film. Oh, go ahead, hush, child. Okay, yup. He gave him the eye. Shit like that, like the whole film. So that at first it was annoying, and then some of it was funny, and then it became annoying again. It's kind of like, it's like y'all know this is like this juxtaposition that's happening right now, with y'all watching. This is hilarious. This is weird.
Hilarious.
But okay.
All right, folks. So there you guys have it. Check it out. Moonlight. Should be out in theaters. 9.5 out of 5. Find the rest of the reviews on movietrailerreviews.net or mtrnetwork.net. Search for Movie Trailer Reviews on iTunes to Stitcher Radio. Until next time, we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.